Over the years, I've collected different types of cameras, and today I'm going to be sharing with you which cameras were actually worth the investment, like they brought me some form of money, and which cameras were actually a waste of money, so that you don't go making the same mistakes that I also made along the way. Let's get into it. The Nikon D3300 is the first ever DSLR that I ever owned. I bought it for about 150 euros if I'm not wrong. It was a great camera. I spent about 40 euros to get a 50mm lens. It was a Yongnuo lens and I used it for photography gigs. I learned photography using that camera and I learned videography using that camera. It is garbage for videography. I wouldn't ever recommend anyone to buy that camera for videography. It was okay. I'd say it was okay to decent. I'd say decent for photography, and I got a couple of gigs. I think I made overall or in general about 300 bucks with the camera. It was worth the investment. You just had to be there during the GH4 era. Just like a lot of people, the GH4 kickstarted my filmmaking career. I bought the camera primarily for videography. When it came out, it was way ahead of its time. The camera was very legendary. I bought it on eBay for about 500 euros. Like at that time, the GH5 had already been out for a couple of years, maybe, I don't know. I bought the GH4 simply because that's what I could afford at that time. I had moved into a different city. I used it for a very long time. It didn't bring me much money, but I remember 500 bucks on the camera, and then I spent around 350 euros, if I'm not wrong, to get a 25mm Panasonic lens, and then I got a 12mm pancake lens. I don't know if it was 12, and then I bought a K&F adapter, Nikon to Micro Four Thirds, so that I could be able to use my Nikon lenses on the GH4. I loved that camera. I did so much with the camera. I learned almost everything that I know about filmmaking using that camera because one, it had no autofocus. Okay, it had autofocus, but it was terrible, so I couldn't use it. It was contrast based and it was so bad I had to learn to film manually. So I just like dove into the deep end. Is dove English? Dove? Yeah, whatever. I think with the camera I barely made a thousand bucks, but in general I'd say it was a worthy investment. I made my money back. I think I sold it for around 450 euros. That was in 2024 or 2023, around there. It was a worthy investment. The Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 4K is the first ever camera that I ever bought brand new. I can remember very well I had moved to a new city for studies and I decided to just spend my entire life savings on this particular camera. Partly because I already had Micro Four Thirds lenses. Secondly, because I was really passionate about filmmaking. Like I had done so much with the GH4 and I felt it had reached the ceiling and I needed to upgrade. Maybe that was the way for me to kickstart my career here in Germany, but I was like, I have to do this, and it was a huge risk and a huge gamble that I took at that time. I remember sharing some of the first content that I ever made with the camera and the reaction was crazy. Finally, people started recognizing me. I started getting booked by event organizers and nightclubs to film the events and parties. I didn't know how pricing worked, so I was just happy to make any amount of money as long as it was videography gig. Musicians started approaching me for music videos, and that's when things just started moving so fast. I was massively undercharging, and of course people like cheap stuff, so I was getting so many clients to the point that I was getting overwhelmed by work. Long story short, I'd say buying the camera was definitely worth it. This particular camera just helped me finance my entire studies, that is how important the camera is to me. Unfortunately, I sold it, but if I can find the person that has that camera, I will gladly buy it back because of the sentimental value that it holds. Very important piece of gear. I really loved that camera. The Panasonic GH5 Mark II is the second camera that I ever bought brand new. The reason why I bought it is because I was filming everything using the Blackmagic Pocket 4K, and the problem that I was running into was the fact that I was getting these massive files and was running out of storage. All my drives were getting filled up with all this raw data from the Blackmagic, and so I thought, well, there are projects that I actually don't need to use the Blackmagic camera, and I'd really be happy if I'd be having a second camera that shoots just in MP4, I don't know, Rec 709, for the small gigs that I was getting, like people booking me just to shoot some Instagram reels for them or some TikToks, and I was like, I don't need Blackmagic for that. So at that time I decided to buy the Panasonic Lumix GH5 Mark II. The camera was amazing, I really loved it. It was also micro four thirds, I didn't need to buy any new lenses. I was just having this amazing collection of micro four thirds stuff. I also used the camera for behind the scenes and a lot of my content. It was during this particular time that I had also started bringing a second person with me whenever I had a gig. Whenever I was filming somewhere, I was bringing a second person with me to just shoot the behind the scenes so that I could get some content to post. And so I'd say it didn't bring me much money directly because I was just using it on tiny projects, you know, but it brought me a lot of money indirectly. And what do I mean by that? Like the behind the scenes content that was getting filmed using this particular camera, I'd edit that and then post it online, and through this content a lot of clients would get to know about me, and then they would book me to go get some of their projects done. And that's how I made money, and that's how this camera made money for me. So to cut the long story short, this was a worthy investment. It made a lot of sense for me to get the camera, and I fell in love with the camera completely. This is the DJI Air 2S, a very dope drone, you know. I got it during the period when drones were very much in fashion. Like, it was a cool thing to own a drone, you know what I'm saying? Everyone was talking about drones, and honestly speaking, I didn't need one. I didn't really need a drone. Up to that time, I had never gotten a client that had asked me about drone shots, and honestly speaking, I don't have drone gigs, you know? So I really tried to market myself as this videographer who has a drone. I tried my best. Nobody was buying the gimmick of having a drone or having drone shots in your footage, you know. I tried to sell the idea to clients. Nobody was buying it. And also, yeah, the fact that I live in Germany, where I always feel like you even need a permit to breathe in this country, you know, like flying drones is hard because almost everywhere you need a permit. So honestly speaking, I've just used this drone mostly on my own projects. I think maybe 3 or 4 client projects, and I don't think I've used it for the past almost 2 years. I haven't turned this drone on. I don't even know if it can still fly. I haven't recouped my investment, so I'd say it was actually a waste of money. Sticking to DJI, I've got this. This is the Osmo Pocket. It's the OG, the original one. I bought it because I thought like I really wanted to vlog more and make more content, and I thought this will be a great addition to my arsenal and I would be able to vlog more. But honestly speaking, I bought this camera and then I tried to vlog and I just realized I'm actually not a vlogger. Like, I really cannot vlog, you know, like going out and talking to the camera, like that's not me. And so I quickly stopped using the camera. Like, I tried a couple of times, but I then realized, nah, that's not me. The camera is good, it's okay. Like, I've used it a couple of times when I was traveling and it was convenient. In general, I'd say this is one of those cameras that I also never needed. It was just a waste of money. I remember when the Sony A7C came out, it came out during this period where everyone was just waxing lyrical about full frame cameras, and there was this guy who was really attached to the micro four thirds ecosystem, and I had enough lenses, and every time I would get online I found people talking about full frame this, full frame that, and then I just succumbed into this particular pressure or hype, and I found myself buying the Sony A7C. And honestly speaking, I hated that camera. Like, I really hated that camera so much. that I only used it twice and I sold it. Apart from the fact that it took like really amazing photos, like incredible in photography, like I loved the photos from that camera. Apart from that, that camera had nothing to offer for me, like I didn't like anything about it. I sold it at a loss, waste of money. I don't know why I bought it. I wouldn't recommend making decisions the way I made when it came to buying that camera. The Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 6K Pro. This is not just a camera, this is a beast. I love this camera. I remember buying it on eBay for about, I think it was 1600 euros if I'm not wrong. And this camera literally changed my life. I know a lot of people use this statement in a very cliche way, but I'm not even kidding you. This camera changed my life completely. And I remember the first project that I did it for the company that I was working at, and I made this particular ad for the company because I really wanted to pitch the idea to my employers that I can be more useful in this company doing this particular style of marketing for you guys rather than what you guys have employed me to do. And so I offered to create this particular ad for them, and I used this camera. Like that was the first time I used this camera, like this particular camera that I'm currently holding here. This one, exactly this camera. And I remember after filming the project, my employer looked at the footage when I was editing it and was like, wow, this guy was so impressed. The footage from this camera looked exactly like footage that they were seeing in film, in cinemas. He couldn't believe what he was seeing. And from here, like, things just started going well for me. Like my videography career was just taking a new turn, and this has been my main camera ever since. I've used it in every form of project. All the high-paying projects that I've been getting, I've been using this one. For the smaller projects, I've been using another camera, but I've never hired a Red. I've never hired any of the better cameras. This has been the best camera that I've ever used, hands down. I've used a Red before, but well, I didn't edit the footage. I was just hired as a cinematographer and I used the Red, and that was that. So I don't know how the footage holds up, but honestly speaking, like from the user experience to editing to color grading, everything that I've done with this camera has turned out to gold. This is the best 1600 that I've ever invested. I've gotten a return on investment like 10 times, 15 times, I don't know. Like I got all my money back plus a lot of profit on top of it. This is the best camera I've ever owned, hands down. Well, if you watched my review video for the Panasonic S5 Mark II, you definitely know what I'm going to say about this camera. Actually, it's the camera that I'm currently using to film this video. So you just know how I feel about the camera. Like I bought it for around 1400 euros, also used on eBay, and I bought it primarily as my behind the scenes camera to replace my Panasonic GH5 Mark II. But honestly speaking, this camera was too overkill for BTS content. You understand? It was too overkill to the point that I started using it on client projects, like all those client projects where I felt like, yeah, I don't need to bring my Blackmagic on this one, especially those clients who just wanted social media content. This camera is the one that has been doing all those projects for me. I've done a lot of high-paying projects for 3,000, 4,000 euros just using this particular camera. Incredible camera, incredible quality. Like there is no bad thing that I can say about this camera apart from that crop factor. When I want to film 4K 60, why did Panasonic put that crop factor into the camera? But I don't think somebody can currently persuade me to buy another hybrid camera. I don't know, unless Panasonic come up with, I don't know, S5 Mark III, which shoots like 8K at 120 frames per second without a crop. I don't know. Maybe they can persuade me, but I don't know if I'll still be persuaded because I really love this camera, you know? I can do anything with the camera. I just throw it into my backpack. I don't have a rig around it. I trust this camera so much to the point that somebody can pay me 3,000 euros and I just show up with this camera without any rig, without any other thing, like just the camera, and I film the project and people hire me for the quality of my work. They don't hire me for the equipment that I own. I recouped my investment like almost immediately. Now the Insta360 X5 is a camera that I bought last year. I think I spent around 600 euros to get, I don't know what combo that was. I don't know if it was the creator combo, whatever combo that was. And I have a love-hate relationship with this camera, you know. Great camera, but I really hate the workflow that I have to get the 360 footage, take it to the Insta360 app, and then I convert it to MP4 or to ProRes so that I can send it back to DaVinci Resolve so that DaVinci can be able to open it. Like, Insta360, could you just maybe, like, I don't know, have a partnership with Blackmagic and make it possible for us to be able to open the 360 footage directly in DaVinci Resolve instead of all these workarounds? I use this camera mostly to film my DJing content. For those of you who don't know, I'm a music producer and a DJ also. Well, I don't know if it was the first time or the second time for me to use this camera, but I remember that video is in my other channel. It's called Tony Slay 254. You can check it out here or in the description below. I filmed that video using this camera, and the video has over 480,000 views. Like, it was just some DJing content, DJing in the park, and I filmed my entire set using this camera and I posted it and it went crazy. And from that video I've been getting so many bookings as a DJ, and I recouped the money like pretty fast. Like, it was just 600 euros. I got that money back like pretty fast, which is really amazing. So the camera was a worthy investment. I still use it. I hate the workflow, I really do, and I wish there was another way to work around all these many processes that you have to follow in order to just get footage out of this thing. Now, this is the Blackmagic Cinema Camera 6K full frame, and honestly speaking, I don't know why I bought this camera. I think maybe it was just the full frame FOMO or something. I don't know. I think I spent around 1,500 euros on eBay to buy it. Of course, not brand new, used. I haven't used it at all, simply because I think I prefer this 6K Pro because of the ND filters. Maybe, I don't know. Like, I don't know why. And you can see it's rigged up, it has everything, like it's ready to go. I really don't know if it is a worthy investment. Like, I've tested it just here, and I think the footage is somewhat better than that on the 6K Pro. Like, I don't think a normal guy will just notice it, but if you're maybe a colorist, you can see a slight difference. But yeah, like, it's very small, you know. But I think it's time now for me to put this camera into test. You know what, I have a project this coming weekend. I'm gonna use this camera. I'm gonna take this camera out on a client project, like for the first time ever, because I haven't used it on any client project. I haven't used it on any of my own passion projects also. So I have a project this coming weekend. I'm gonna use this camera, and then next week I'll tell you guys what I think about this camera, if it was a worthy investment or not. But so far I'd say it was a waste of money because I haven't used it. But I can't judge it that fast and just say, yeah, it was a waste of money. It is garbage, because I haven't put it into test. I think I bought it blindly without thinking whether I need it or not, which is stupid of me, you know. But at the end of the day, I've got to put it into test and then come back to you guys and tell you what I think. But as it stands of now, this was a waste of money. So far, those are the cameras that I've bought using my own money. Like, those are my own investments. I haven't included any camera that I was sent or given for free or sent to review. I bought them with the intention of using them to make more money. So I'm just sharing with you my success and failures when it comes to investment in filmmaking gear, and not just gear in general, but cameras, because we love cameras, you know. However, one thing that you really need to understand is that all this gear, all these cameras, all this stuff, you know, they were made with a certain purpose or a certain person or a certain group of people in mind. You understand? Don't just buy stuff because it's a new shiny toy that everyone is talking about in town. You'll end up losing money. You'll end up broke. Trust me. I've gone through that route, and I swear it leads to the city called I wish I knew. Only buy stuff that fits your workflow. You can see, like, for example, for me, I never needed a drone in my workflow, but I found myself wasting money buying the drone. Don't buy stuff that you want, buy stuff that you need. Then put in the work and make sure you enjoy the work. And if you do that, you're gonna eventually get what you want. I don't know if it makes sense. I think I'm now sounding like a guru. I'm just rambling out here. If you got value from this video, kindly give this video a thumbs up and consider subscribing to the channel. Otherwise, thank you for watching and see you next week. Blessings.